Welcome to A Course in Miracles, hardcore style.
There's a call for God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy. This is Earl Purdy. Welcome to Facebook Live, A Course in Miracles.
Let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. If you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
You and I, mighty companion. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles.
Oh, we are one.
That's what we have to remember. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy here on Facebook Live. This is especially for Course in Miracles students, even though everybody's welcome. But I'm assuming that you are already a Course in Miracles student or really intensely interested in it. I'm a messenger. This is not an analyzation class. This is not a figure it out class. The Course in Miracles says that analyzing it actually keeps you from being able to really get what the Course in Miracles says. So we're going to remember together.
We were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Oh, we are one. Yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. I am you, and you are me.
That was Brother John Christmas at johnchristmas.com. You can download his songs for free. You can download his songs for free. Boy, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it when I'm here for the Hardcore Course in Miracles class, because I'm assuming that you are a Course in Miracles student and you want to take advantage of my almost 40 years of teaching it and sharing it. Hopefully I'll resonate with you and you'll be able to appreciate what I do. I don't analyze the Course in Miracles, so this is not a try to figure it out. I'm going to use what the Course in Miracles says to teach the Course in Miracles. And it says that you don't have to believe it. You don't have to accept it. The Course in Miracles says you don't have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas, you may actively resist some of the ideas. Some of the ideas you're going to find, you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas may be quite startling. So you're not asked to judge or analyze the Course at all, and I'm not going to entertain that part of us, the judges and analyzers. It also says it's the use of the ideas that give the ideas meaning to you. It's using the ideas, not analyzing the ideas, using the ideas. The Course said if you use the ideas, then the ideas themselves will show you that the ideas are true. And we're going to be in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. And the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course in Miracles, if you are having technical difficulties but you can hear me, then just keep on. Stay right where you are. Don't leave, even if it's acting crazy. Hang in there, okay? We're going to be in Chapter 8, The Journey Back, Chapter 8, in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course in Miracles. We're going to be Chapter 8, The Journey Back, and we're going to talk about the direction of the curriculum. We're going to talk about the direction that the Course in Miracles is trying to take us in. We're going to talk about the direction that the Course in Miracles is trying to take us. I use a lot of repetition in my teaching because the main thing with the Course is to remember it. It's on page 138 in the text, 138. Chapter 8, The Journey Back. The section is the direction of the curriculum, the direction of the curriculum. I'm going to read through the paragraph, and then I'm going to go through the paragraph with you so that we can hear what the Course in Miracles is telling us. The Course in Miracles is most powerful when you remember what it says. When you remember what it says, because it's already told us we don't have to believe it, we don't have to accept it, we don't have to welcome it. That came right out of the book itself. So it's not about that. So the first paragraph, I'm going to read it right now. Here we go. And I love music. And knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. Peace is the motivation for learning this course. This is the prerequisite for knowledge. This is the prerequisite for knowledge, only because those who are in conflict are not peaceful. Those who are in conflict are not peaceful. And peace is the condition of knowledge, because peace is the condition of the kingdom. Knowledge can be restored to you only when you meet its conditions. That knowledge can only be restored to you when you meet its conditions. This is not a bargain made by God, who makes no bargains. You're having to meet the conditions of knowledge to have knowledge. It is merely the result of the misuse of God's laws on behalf of an imaginary will. If you are opposing his will, how can you have knowledge if you are opposing God's will? I have told you what knowledge offers you. I have told you what knowledge offers you. But perhaps you do not yet regard this, what knowledge offers you, as wholly desirable. You may not regard knowledge as wholly desirable yet. If you did hold knowledge desirable, if you did, you would not be so ready to throw it away. You would not be so ready to throw knowledge away when your ego asks for your allegiance. So good to see all of you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We're going to go into this powerful, powerful New Year. And it's so good to be with my mighty companions, getting ready to do this with you. I love that you're here live. I can feel your energies when you're with me live all over the world. And, you know, it's really great to know that there's been over 1 million views of my videos, because that means that the Holy Spirit is using me in ways I don't even know, ways I don't even understand, but I just want to be used for love. So when we're together as mighty companions, we are reaching out everywhere. So the first paragraph, let's get it, the journey back. Okay, so it says, knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course in miracles. So the very first line says, peace is the motivation for learning the course in miracles. So does that mean that you're not learning the course in miracles so that you can have knowledge? The Course in Miracles says the motivation for learning the Course in Miracles should be that you want peace. You're studying the Course in Miracles because you want peace. You should be studying the Course in Miracles because you want peace. You're not studying the Course in Miracles because you want a car. You're not studying the Course in Miracles, hopefully, because you want a better house and a better car and a better special relationship and you want a better career. You should be studying the Course in Miracles because you want more peace in your life. You want more peace inside of you. And the Course in Miracles says that peace is total fulfillment. I would be using a lot of the Course in Miracles definitions of these terms. So what did the first sentence tell us? The first sentence told us, you're not studying this so that you can have a lot of knowledge. You shouldn't be studying this because you want to know everything. It's not about knowledge. The Course in Miracles is saying knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. Wanting to have more knowledge should not be your motivation for wanting to learn this course. What should be your motivation for wanting to learn this course? What should be my motivation for wanting to learn this course is I want peace. I want total fulfillment. I want peace. That's why I'm studying the Course in Miracles. Not because I can know how the universe works and know how God works and know everything necessarily about everything. I want to study the Course in Miracles because I want peace. I want peace. I want peace. I want to be out of any kind of conflict, any type of guilt, any type of fear, any type of lack consciousness. I want peace. I'm studying the Course in Miracles, and I have been studying the Course in Miracles for close to 40 years because I want peace, which is complete fulfillment. So when you say peace, you're talking about complete fulfillment. So that means what? It means your motivation for learning the Course in Miracles should be complete fulfillment. You are studying the Course in Miracles because you want complete fulfillment. You should not be studying the Course in Miracles because you want knowledge. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning the Course in Miracles. Peace should be the motivation for learning the Course in Miracles. Sentence 2 says, this is the prerequisite for knowledge. Okay, what is the prerequisite for knowledge? What comes before knowledge? Peace. You must have peace before you can know what's going on. That's why when you're upset about something, it means that you don't really know what's really going on. From a Course in Miracles perspective, you can always tell when you don't really know what's going on. How? When you don't really know what's going on is when you are angry and upset. That's when you don't really know what's going on. That's when you should question your judgment the most. It's because you must have peace before you can have knowing, which is knowledge. And so that's why the Course in Miracles says, I want you to have peace more than I want you to have knowledge, because knowledge comes after peace. So you don't go directly to knowledge. You go to peace, and then you go to knowledge. When you have peace, then you will have knowing in a situation or circumstance. Now, why is it that peace is the prerequisite for knowledge? It says, well, only because those who are in conflict are not peaceful. Do you know that people who are in a lot of conflict and angry, if you're in a lot of conflict and anger, whenever there's a lot of conflict and anger, the Course in Miracles says, those who are in conflict are not peaceful. Those who are in conflict are not peaceful. And peace is the condition of knowledge. So it repeats itself again. If you're in conflict, you don't really know what's going on. If you're angry, you don't really know what's going on. If you're jealous, sick, broke, see yourself as separate, see yourself as alone, if you then, according to the Course in Miracles, you are in conflict. So therefore, you don't have the condition of knowledge. And the condition of knowledge is peace. Peace, then knowledge. Peace, then knowledge. peace, then knowledge. So the purpose of the Course in Miracles, the goal of the Course in Miracles is to remove all the blocks that keep us from having peace. Because it's when you have peace that you have knowledge. When you have peace, then you'll have knowledge. When you have peace, then you'll have knowledge. Then it says, those who are in conflict are not peaceful. Peace is the condition of knowledge. So what is the condition of knowledge? Peace. Then it says, because it is the condition of the kingdom. The kingdom is love. The kingdom is our home. The kingdom is reality. So the condition of reality, the condition of love, the condition of love is peace. Peace and love go together. Peace and the expression of love go together. The condition of where we live, the condition of our true spiritual home is peace. Okay, so reality is peaceful. Reality is loving. What is real is peaceful. What is real is loving. What is real has knowledge. And the Course in Miracles describes knowledge as absolute certainty. Its definition of knowledge is what? Absolute certainty. Knowledge is absolute certainty. The Course in Miracles, one of the Course in Miracles definitions of knowledge is absolute certainty. So let's go back. Absolute certainty is not the motivation for learning this course. Peace is the motivation for learning this course. Peace is the prerequisite for absolute certainty. Only because those who are in conflict are not peaceful. Those who are in conflict are not peaceful. And peace is the condition of absolute certainty. In order to have knowledge, which is absolute certainty, peace must come first. Now, check this out. If you're upset and you're angry right now, if you're worried about something and you're upset, if you're worried about something and you're upset, I know that there's something going on with the transmission. It's not doing it on my iPhone, but I'm monitoring it so I see what you see. And so just hang in there. Just hang in there. It'll come back. Okay. When you're upset, you are not in a place where you can have knowledge. When you're upset, when you're not peaceful, that's not the condition for knowledge. So the way that you can make that practical, because I love to make A Course in Miracles practical, is when I'm upset, mad, I don't really, truly know what's going on, because peace is the condition of knowledge. Now, then it says knowledge can be restored only when you meet its conditions. In chapter 8, section 1, paragraph 1, what I'm doing is going slow. In Hardcore Course in Miracles, it's about hearing it. In Hardcore Course in Miracles, it's about hearing it. This is not a bargain made by God. Knowledge can be restored only when you meet its conditions. So you can only have knowledge when you meet the conditions of knowledge, which means what? You can only have knowledge when you're at peace. This is not a bargain made by God. This is not a bargain made by God. That you've got to have peace before you can have knowledge is not a bargain made by the Creator. The Creator is not making a bargain with us. Do you know that our Creator does not bargain with us? Who is the Creator? Who makes no bargains. Love doesn't make any bargains. Love is the Creator. Love doesn't make any bargains. If I'm in a relationship with someone and we have a bargain. If you do this, then I'll do that. If you do this, then I'll love you. If you do that, I'll love you. That is not love. Love doesn't bargain. There's no such thing as bargaining in love. Would you consider that one of the greatest benefits of A Course in Miracles is that it teaches you the difference between what real love is like and when you're not receiving real love? Because unless I know what real love is like, then I won't know how to choose real love and how to turn away from love that isn't real. Now, just that one sentence gave me a lot of insight. That one sentence gave me a lot of insight. Let me share what I mean. If love holds no bargains, if love doesn't bargain, and I'm with somebody who's always bargaining, I'll love you if you do this, I won't love you if you do that, then immediately I can dismiss that person as not really giving me real love. This is not real love, because real love knows no bargains, which means that if I'm going to have knowledge, I've got to have peace. This is not a bargain made by God, comma, who makes no bargains. It's merely the result of your misuse of God's laws on behalf of an imaginary will that is not God's. So the Course in Miracles says that we have misused God's laws by using all of God's laws on behalf of our ego, on behalf of separation. And so knowledge is God's will. Since we're misusing knowledge because we don't have peace, and a person who doesn't have peace, according to this, is a person who doesn't have the prerequisite for knowledge. So this is a person that really doesn't have knowledge, which means they're using all their powers now on behalf of the part of them that does not have knowledge. And the part of us that does not have knowledge, the Course in Miracles calls the ego. The ego is the imaginary will that is not the will of God. So a term for the ego is my imaginary will that is not the will of love. So any time you don't have peace, you don't have knowledge. If you don't have knowledge and you don't have peace, then you're misusing the laws of God on behalf of your ego. So if you are opposing God's will, knowledge is God's will. Knowledge is God's will. Knowledge is God's will. So what is knowledge? God's will. God's will is knowledge. Whatever God wills is knowledge. Knowledge is the will of love. Love is God. God is love. Love is God. God is love. I'm going to change those terms so that you will be able to hear this without any type of reaction based on your past learning about the word God. God is love. So the Course in Miracles says knowledge is God's will. Knowledge is God's will. So if you are opposing God's will, and knowledge is God's will, your having knowledge is God's will, but you are opposing God's will, then if you are opposing the will of love, if you are opposing love, if you are opposing the truth, how can you have knowledge? If I want the love of God, then if I'm opposing God, how can I have God? If I'm opposing love, how can I have love? So I have told you what knowledge offers you, what knowledge offers you. I've told you what knowledge offers you. Knowledge offers you total fulfillment. Knowledge offers you complete happiness. Knowledge offers you unity and oneness and love and safety and joy. Knowledge offers you everything. But perhaps you don't yet find this and regard this as wholly desirable. Okay, so what is it that we may not regard as wholly desirable? What is it that we may not acknowledge as wholly desirable, that we don't see as totally desirable? Course in Miracles says we don't really see peace as totally desirable. We don't really see love as totally desirable. There's a part of us that's afraid of love. There's a part of us that's afraid of love because we might have gone through some hurt and hurt by people that we think we love and who are supposed to love us. So the Course says that, perhaps what knowledge offers is nothing that you really completely desire yet. Because if you did, you wouldn't be so ready to throw knowledge away whenever your fear comes up. If I really desired love, if I really desired love, if you really desired love, if you really desired the truth, the Course says you wouldn't be so ready to throw it away when your ego asks for your allegiance. See, whenever my past and my fear and my old programming comes up, then I have to still stay focused on the truth. I can't let my ego keep me from practicing the truth, from remembering the truth, remembering what A Course in Miracles is teaching me, if that's my spiritual path. Then I can't let my fear, I can't let my ego, I can't side with my ego if I really want to have love. I can't side with my fear and guilt if I really want to know love. Do you see that? Do you see how the Course in Miracles is so simple and is breaking it down? Well, let's go back again. Okay. Some of the comments that I'm seeing is the Mola says knowledge can only be restored when we meet the conditions and pieces to condition. Real love knows no bargains. No ego means no separation. Cactus says love that I use my imaginary will, not God's will, and knowledge. And of course, that's what we got to stop doing. Safety, joy, and happiness now is what Renew says. Kathy says, knowledge offers me joy and safety, everything, but I may not desire this because I may be afraid. That's what you do with the Course in Miracles. You take the Course in Miracles very, very slowly. I've been working with people for almost 4 decades. I've been doing the Course in Miracles and sharing the Course in Miracles full time for over 30 years. I walked out of corporate America to become a teacher of A Course in Miracles 30 years ago. And so you can imagine what people were like 30 years ago getting into this stuff, because it works. I have seen so many frigging miracles that have happened to me in ways I would have never imagined, that was beautiful and helpful. And what I've learned is it's not about understanding A Course in Miracles and figuring that out. I'm telling you, listen to me. I'm trying to tell you, your understanding is not a powerful contribution to the truth. Your agreeing with what's true is not a powerful contribution to the truth. What's important is to remember what we're being told. Let me give you an example. In the very first paragraph, what did it tell us? Well, it told us that you shouldn't be studying A Course in Miracles because you want peace. You shouldn't be studying A Course in Miracles because you want knowledge. You should be studying A Course in Miracles because you want peace. And then it told us that the reason why you want peace is because you can't have knowledge and love, which is the same thing, and absolute certainty until you have peace. So number one is peace of mind. If a situation is presenting itself in your life right now that you're giving yourself a lot of turmoil and pain around, try not to make any major decisions about that area. Try not to take any major action until you have gotten to the point that you feel more peaceful, because it's only when you feel peaceful that you have passed the prerequisite for having knowledge in that situation. And when you have knowledge in a situation, you know exactly what to do. So don't convince yourself that you're doing the right thing when you're doing things when you're most upset, when you're making decisions and actions when you're most upset, because that's when you're most likely not to have knowledge and do something dumb or stupid. So then it also told us that if you're in conflict, you're not peaceful. And if you're not peaceful, then you're not in a position to have knowledge. And this is not a bargain, because God doesn't make bargains. That's just the way it is. You're not going to have knowledge until you have peace. And you need to have peace because you're using the laws of God. You're using the laws of mind to follow what your ego is telling you to do, what the world told you to do, what the idea of being separate or guilt or fear told you to do. And then it told us that if you are opposing God's will, then you won't have knowledge. If you're opposing love, you won't have knowledge. And that there's a part of us that's really afraid of knowledge and afraid of love and doesn't really totally, wholly desire it. And so we throw away the truth when we get mad. We get angry, we listen to our ego, then we throw the truth away. I am responsible for what I see. I am totally innocent. I'm responsible for what I see. I'm totally innocent. Okay, that's what the Course in Miracles is teaching us, right? I'm not a victim of the world I see, okay? That's the truth, right? But then something happens to me and somebody says something I don't like, and then I get really, really mad, then that's me siding with my ego. That's what it means when it says you are so ready to throw the truth away, which is that you're responsible for how you feel. Nobody else is responsible for how you feel. Whenever your ego, which is your old programming, asks for your allegiance. That's a simple way of saying that we throw away this truth that we're studying when we're listening to our ego, and we get right back upset and see ourselves as a victim or separate from God. So we have to stop doing what? Stop throwing away what knowledge gives us, what God gives us on behalf of still doing things the way that our ego or our old self tells us to do things. So one more time. The distractions of the ego may seem to interfere with your learning. The distractions of your fear may seem to interfere with your learning. But the ego has no power to distract you. Your ego has no power to distract you. Unless you give your ego the power to do so, your ego has no power to distract you. Your fear has no power to distract you. Your fear has no power to distract you. Unless you give your fear the power to distract you, it cannot distract you. The ego's voice is a hallucination. In paragraph 2, it says the ego's voice is an hallucination. The ego's voice is a hallucination. You cannot expect your ego to say, I am not real. I am not real. You cannot expect your ego to say, I'm not real. Yet you are not asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. You are not being asked to do this alone. You're not being asked to dispel your fears and your ego alone. You are merely asked to evaluate your hallucinations and your fears. You're just being asked to evaluate them in terms of their results to you. You're just being asked to evaluate the way you see things in terms of its results to you. If you don't want your hallucinations, if you don't want your fears, on the basis of your loss of your peace, because you're losing your peace, because you've lost your peace and you decided you don't want your fears, then your fears and your hallucinations will be removed from your mind. If you don't want those fears, if you don't want that anger, if you don't want those hallucinations, the Course says they will be removed from your mind for you. Your fears can be removed from your mind for you. Your ego can be removed from your mind for you if you really don't want it. And you really don't want it on the basis that you are not peaceful. If you really no longer want your old way of thinking on the basis that it's not peaceful, then the Course says it will be removed from your mind for you. Your fears will be removed from your mind for you. My fears will be removed from my mind for me. Listen to me now. Your fears, your hallucinations, your anger, your illusions, your false ideas will be removed from your mind for you. Will be removed from your mind for you. Your hallucinations can be removed from your mind for you. If you don't want it, it can be removed. If you don't want it, it can be removed. Whatever it is, if you don't really want it, it can be removed. If you don't really want it. So tell yourself, I don't want my hallucinations. I don't want my fears because it causes me to lose my peace. I don't want my hallucinations. I don't want my false ideas because they make me lose my peace. So let's see what that's saying to us. Okay, let's keep on taking it slow. Let me look at the comments. Demola says our fear has no power to distract us. Thank God this is so. Phoenix says learning is constant, despite the fact that I've been studying the Course for 6 years. Evaluate. Yeah, the situation you have right now, the way you think right now, evaluate it in terms of its results to you. Evaluate the way that you think, the way that you feel. You evaluate something based on its results. If it's not bringing you peace, then you know it's valueless. The Course in Miracles says, if it's not giving you peace, then it has no real value. If it's not making you happy, it has no real value. Now, I know that there's going to be a part of us that says, you know, yes, but it's not about us necessarily believing it or agreeing with it. It's just the Course in Miracles is just telling us the way it is. It's like, I'm going to tell you the way it is. It's the way it is. This is the way it is whether you believe it or not. This is the way it is whether or not you understand it. This is the way it is. What do you mean? If it doesn't give you peace, if it's not giving you peace, which is what you must have before you can have knowledge and love, then you need to evaluate it in terms of, is this really valuable to me? If it's not bringing me any kind of peace, if this relationship isn't bringing me any kind of peace, if this job, if any situation in my life, I'm not giving myself any kind of peace through it, is it really valuable to me? Anything that's keeping me in conflict, the Course calls it an hallucination. It's something I'm telling myself that's not true, that I really believe is true. And if it's not bringing me joy, if it's not bringing me happiness, then I need to evaluate it in terms of its results to me. Now, the very first sentence in paragraph 2 says, the distractions of the ego. The distractions, so the ego is what? The ego is fear. The ego is fearful thoughts. I'm giving you Course in Miracles definitions. The ego is a fearful thought. It's a guilty thought. It's the idea that I'm separate. The Course says the distractions of fear may seem to interfere with your learning. All the things that you are afraid about, that may interfere with your learning. But the ego has no power to distract you. Do you know that your ego has no power to distract you? Your ego has no power to distract you unless you give it the power to distract you. Your ego can only distract you as much as you give it the power to distract you. Your fear can only distract you. Your upset can only distract you as much as you allow it to distract you. A special relationship that is giving you no joy can only distract you as long as you give it the power to. Anything that distracts you from your happiness, anything that distracts you from love, is only distracting you because you give it the power to distract you. The only reason why the ego distracts you is because, do you know you give the ego the power to distract you? You give your upset and worry the power to distract you. You give your depression the power to distract you. That's the only power that it has to distract you, is because you give it the power to do it. So what does the Course say in the next sentence in paragraph 2, chapter 8, section 1? Do you know that the ego's voice is a hallucination? The voice of the ego is a hallucination. The ego is a hallucination. It's something that seems like it's real, but it's not. Your ego is something that seems like it's real, but it's not. Your fear is something that seems like it's real, but it's not. Your anger is something that seems like it's real, but it's not. I know the ego seems real. I know that it seems real that you are separate. I know it seems real that we are bodies. I know it seems like it's real, but the Course in Miracles is saying fear is not real. The ego is an hallucination. You cannot expect it to say, I'm not real. You can't expect your fears to say, I'm not real. You can't expect the stuff that you tell yourself that's not true. You can't expect it to tell you it's not true. You can't expect your ego. You cannot expect your ego to say, I'm not real. Your ego is never going to tell you, I'm not real. But do you know what the good news is? It says, the good news is you are not asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. So what did it say an hallucination was? It said an hallucination was the ego's voice. Right there on the page, it says, the ego's voice is an hallucination. So when you read hallucinations, substitute the ego's voice. Let me show you. You are not asked to dispel the ego's voice alone, because the ego's voice is synonymous with the word hallucination. So the Course just told us, I'm not asking you to dispel the voice of your ego by yourself. You cannot dispel your fearful voices by yourself. So what is one of the main points that A Course in Miracles is trying to get me to see? You can't do this by yourself. You cannot do this by yourself. You cannot dispel your separation by yourself. You cannot dispel your fear by yourself. You can't dispel the voice of the ego by yourself. You have gone as far as you can go on the spiritual path by yourself, trying to do it on your own by yourself, with it, doing things from a sense that it's just you on your own doing it. You cannot dispel the voice of fear alone. That's just a fact. You may think you can do it alone. You may think you can release your fear, anger, and guilt alone. But the Course in Miracles is saying the fact is you cannot dispel the voice of your ego by yourself, and you can't expect your ego to tell you I'm not real. So the ego's voice, you're right, Kathy, the ego's voice equals hallucination. Hallucination. And we're having hallucinations. The Course in Miracles says fear is hell and hell is fear. And you cannot dispel the voice of fear on your own. That's why we're together. That's why I do these broadcasts live. And I'm also grateful to those who watch the replays. But listen to me. There is something very, very healing and powerful when we come together live, even though you can listen to it some other time. There's something about knowing that all of you are online at the exact same time that allows us to reach out and touch each other in the now. See, we all exist right now, right? All of us exist right now. So we are all sharing this moment. We are sharing right now. So we are able to reach each other right now. So we are dispelling our ego because we're not doing this alone. We are dispelling our fear because we're not doing this alone. You cannot dispel fear, anger, and guilt alone. So I want, just like you're saying, Joanne, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for doing this together, because we cannot dispel the ego's voice alone. It's an hallucination. We can't expect our ego to say, I'm not real. And it says in the second paragraph, you are not asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. So if you're not being asked to dispel the ego alone, what are you being asked to do? You are merely asked to evaluate your hallucinations, your ego's voice, your fear's voice in terms of their results to you. Okay? The things that I tell myself that keep myself up, that keep me upset and afraid, do I like that result? The way that I look at my relationships, do I like the result of that? The way that I feel about a circumstance or situation in my life, the way I evaluate it is, do I like the results of this thought? Do I like the results of this relationship? Do I like the results of my way of looking at things? Do I like the result? You evaluate things by saying, do I like the result? Evaluating is not judging in a negative way. Evaluating is, do I like the results of being the way that I am right now? Do I like the results of the way I think? Do I like the results of my ambitions? Do I like the results of my feelings? Do I like the results? Evaluate everything in terms of, do I like the result? And the Course in Miracles says, if you don't want them, if I don't want the fear, if I don't want the ego thoughts, if I don't want the frightening thoughts, if I don't want the depressing thoughts, if I don't want the separation thoughts on the basis of loss of peace, I don't want this thinking because all I feel is conflict with this thinking. This thinking is only giving me conflict, so I don't want it. So that's what you're supposed to say. I don't want something that's not giving me any peace. I don't want something that's not giving me any love. I don't want anything that's not giving me the truth. I don't want it. I don't want it. If it's not bringing me truth and love and growth and happiness, I don't want it. 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 That's what it's right here on the page. It's right here on the page. That's why I say you never have to analyze the Course in Miracles. All you have to do is take the time to let go of your need to understand it and just hear what it's saying. It's saying that you're not being asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. You're not being asked to dispel your fear alone. You're being asked to evaluate it, evaluate your thinking, evaluate your fears, evaluate your emotions on the basis of loss of peace. If it's not giving me peace, then I don't want it. And then the Course in Miracles says, they will be removed from your mind. How? For you. Don't leap over that sentence. If you do not want your fears, your hallucinations, the voice of your ego, on the basis of loss of peace, I am in conflict. I don't want these thoughts. I'm in conflict. I don't want these thoughts. On the basis of my loss of because of the loss of my peace, I don't want these thoughts. Because of the loss of my peace, I don't want my hallucinations, which it said is the voice of the ego. And what will happen? They will be removed from your mind for you. Your ego can be removed from your mind for you. Your ego, the voice of your ego, the voice of fear, the voice of what is not true, the voice that inside your own mind that keeps you from having peace, that keeps you depressed sometimes or angry sometimes. The Course in Miracles says, if you will tell yourself you don't want it on the basis of it makes you lose your peace, not on the basis of what my mama did, my father did, my past did, somebody on the job did. No, I don't want it taken away from me based on me blaming other people for my loss of peace. I don't want it because I have loss of peace. Not because of something I'm going to project that somebody's done to me. I don't want it because it's not giving me peace. That's all I know. If it's not giving me peace, I don't want it. I'm not going to analyze it. If it's not giving me peace, I don't want it, and it will be removed from my mind for me. It will be removed from my mind for me. Wow, that was paragraph 2. Comments: no more hallucinations or hallucinations. Kim says, good flowing energy in the holy instant, my tribe. We are a tribe. We are a tribe. Do I like, Renew says, do I like the results? Yup, I like the results of your course, dear companions. Carla says, you can argue with the Course in Miracles, but you cannot argue with the results. Renew says, please remove my fearful past. Remember, your fearful past is only happening in your mind because past means gone. So if I'm asking God to remove, today is Thursday, if I'm asking God to remove last Tuesday, the truth is what? Last Tuesday is already gone. So you cannot not let go of what's already gone. Tuesday's already gone. There's no way I can not let go of that. So trying to let go of the past is something you absolutely have to succeed at, because past means it's over. It's already over. That's why it's called past. So when you're trying to release your past, what you're trying to do is you're trying to release thinking about it. Releasing something that's already over is you releasing thinking about it, because it's already gone. I'm obsessing about an old girlfriend, right? I'm obsessing about an old girlfriend. I'm trying to release her, right? Well, I've got to succeed because she's already gone. She's been gone for 9 years. So the only place that she still occupies is my mind, is my thoughts. I'm thinking about her all the time. So releasing the past is just releasing thinking about something that's already over. Releasing the past is to stop thinking about what's already over. That's what releasing the past is. So the Course in Miracles is trying to make us aware of that. Kathy says, Alita says, Brooke says, hallelujah. Alita says, if I truly don't want my fearful thoughts because of loss of peace, they will be removed from my mind. Kathy says, I will acknowledge that I have lost my peace and request it to be removed from my mind. Joanne says, the past is gone. It's over, period. Another comment is, Wakila says, you cannot not let go of what's already gone. And Carla says, if you say, I will do it tomorrow, tomorrow has come and gone. When you say you're going to do something tomorrow, you're saying, I'm going to do something not yet. See, future means not yet. The Course in Miracles says, future means not yet, and past means gone. So past, and then from the South, I like to say gone. So what is this saying? When I'm thinking about the future, I'm thinking about the not yet. When I'm thinking about the past, I'm thinking about the gone. It's only when I'm right here, right now, that I can affect anything. So if I'm trying to let go of my past, it's already gone. Tuesday's already gone. So where's Tuesday still happening? In my mind. I'm thinking about Tuesday. I'm thinking about Tuesday. And I'm calling it, I'm trying to release the past. But you're just thinking about something that's already gone. So that means that all you have to do is stop thinking about it and you release the past. All you have to do is stop thinking about it and you would have released the past. It's already gone. You just need to stop thinking about it. You just need to stop thinking about that old boyfriend. You need to stop thinking about that old girlfriend. You need to stop thinking about your childhood and what you think happened in your childhood is making you unhappy. You need to stop thinking about what's already gone and what's already over. Because the only reason you're still trying to release it is because you're thinking about it. It's already gone. You're just still thinking about it. And when are you thinking about it? You're thinking about it now. And it's now that's going to affect everything that you call the future. So the Course in Miracles is letting us know two powerful things. My ego doesn't have any power to distract me unless I give it the power to distract me. So you could also say that about a person. This person has no power to distract me unless I give them the power to distract me. So it looks like you're distracting me. It looks like you're interfering with me learning how to be truly loving. But the truth is you can't distract me any more than I let you distract me. And I can't expect the ego to tell me it's an hallucination. I can't expect the part of me that I think is me to tell me that it's just an hallucination. I can't expect my ego to say I'm not real. And I'm not being asked to do this by myself. I'm not being asked to dispel my fears alone. I'm just asked to evaluate my fears on the basis of how much peace that I lose because of my fears and because of my ego. And if I don't want it, and if I don't want those ego thoughts, if I don't want those fear thoughts, if I don't want those hallucinations, the Course in Miracles says what? If I don't want them on the basis of loss of peace, on the basis of it just doesn't give me peace, I'm not feeling happy, I'm not having peace. See, what I used to do is go, I'm not happy, but I'm not happy because of what my wife is doing. The Course is saying, no, you don't ask for it to be removed from your mind based on blame. It's you just saying, for whatever reason right now, I'm in conflict and I don't have peace. And so I want those thoughts gone. I want the thoughts that keep me from having peace gone. And it will be removed from your mind for you. That's good news. That's really good news. Really, 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 really good news. Let's see here. Melissa says, I will no longer be tolerant of mind wandering. And that's a really powerful statement from the Course. I'm not going to be tolerant of letting my mind wander to the old way of looking at things that I learned from the world, which is the ego. Because if I let my mind wander to what the world teaches, then, like Melissa says, if I do lose my peace, I forgive myself. So even if you do lose your peace, even if you're not giving yourself peace, forgive yourself. So what does that mean, to forgive yourself? To just recognize that you're making a wrong perception. That if you're feeling a loss of peace, you just have an incorrect perception. That's what, and forgiveness is giving yourself true perception. The Course in Miracles defines forgiveness as correct perception. True perception is forgiveness. So I forgive you means I correctly perceive you. How do I correctly perceive you? I correctly perceive you as being only distracted because you give your ego the power to distract you. Correctly perceiving you is knowing that the voice of your ego is a hallucination, and I can't expect your ego to say it's not real. Seeing you correctly means I know that you can't dispel your fears alone. Seeing you correctly means I know that you need to evaluate what you think and what you believe on the basis of its results to you, especially if it's not giving you any peace. And I need to correctly perceive you, which means to understand that you can say you don't want your ego, you don't want your conflict on the basis of loss of your peace, and then your conflict and your hallucinations will be removed from your mind for you. Forgiving you is applying everything that I just read to you as much as I apply everything I just read to me. So if I forgive you, I'm seeing the situation correctly, which is, if we're going to have knowledge of each other, we've got to have peace with each other. If we're going to know each other and have true love, we must have peace with each other. So the number one prerequisite in any relationship should be peace. You should want peace with your partners, your friends, your intimates. You should want peace with them more than anything else. You should want peace with people more than anything else. You can't know me if we don't have peace with each other. You'll never know me if you're in conflict about me. You'll never know me if you're afraid of me. You'll never know me if you don't trust me. So that's what the Course in Miracles is telling us, that peace must come before knowledge. Peace must come before knowledge. Wow. Okay. Let's see here. Take a breath. Then paragraph 3 says, every response to the ego is a call to war, and war does deprive you of peace. Every time you respond to your ego, you're going to want to fight. Every time you respond to your ego, it's a call to war. It's a call to anger. So how can I tell when I'm listening to my ego? How can I tell when I'm listening to my ego? I want to war with you. I want to fight with you. I am angry with you. I want to conflict with you. And war does deprive you of peace. I'm not going to be peaceful if I'm at war with you. I'm not going to be peaceful. Do you know you're not going to be peaceful if you and I are at war with each other? In this war, yet I'm at paragraph 3, chapter 8, in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles, section 1, paragraph 3. Every response to fear is a call to war. Every response to the ego is a call to war. But war does deprive you of peace. Being in conflict deprives you what? Of peace. But guess what? And this is the mind-boggling thing that the Course says. In this war, there is no opponent in this war. There is no, in your conflict, there is no opponent. You don't have an opponent in your conflict. You don't have an opponent, even though you may think you have an opponent. You don't really have an opponent. This is the reinterpretation of reality that you must make to secure peace. So what is it that I need to, what is the interpretation that I need if I'm going to have peace? I'm going to have to let go of the idea that anybody is against me or that everything is against me. In order to have peace, you must let go of the hallucination that you have an opponent, that there's somebody against you, or that there's something against you. If you want to have peace, you can't think that everybody's out to get you. If you want to have peace, you cannot think anyone is out to get you. If you want to have peace, you have to let go of your belief that there is somebody against you, that you have an opponent. The idea that you have an opponent, Earl, do you know that the idea that you have an opponent is the one idea you've got to let go of if you really want to have peace? If I really want to have peace, I have to stop telling myself that anybody is against me. If I want to have peace, I have to know that in this war, there is no opponent, 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 there is no opponent. You have no opponent, you have no opponent, you have no opponent. Even if you think you have an opponent, even if you think you have an opponent, even if you can, even if right now you're going through a situation that it looks like somebody is opposing you, the one interpretation that you need to make is that there is no opponent. And that's the only, he says, and the only one you need ever make. Okay? Every response to the ego, every response to my fear, every response to my anger is a call to war. But being at war and in conflict does deprive me of peace. You're not going to have peace if you're pissed off about everything. Then it says there's no opponent in this war. There's no opponent in this conflict. That's the one interpretation of the conflict that you need to make, is that there is no opponent. Even if you think there is an opponent, even if you believe there is an opponent, even if you believe you are a victim, tell yourself that there is no opponent, because if that is true, it's true whether you believe it or not. If it's true whether you believe it or not. It's true. If it's true, it's true whether you agree with it or not. That's what's so cool about this. I can think I have an opponent. I can point out a bunch of opponents. But guess what? Guess what? There is no opponent. There is no opponent. I have no opponent. I have no opponent. Nobody's out to get me. 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 Nobody, in this moment, nobody's out to get me. How do I know that's true? Because in this moment, I'm not being opposed. I'm not being attacked. In this moment, there is no opponent. There is no opponent. That's the one. It says, this is the reinterpretation of reality. The what? The reinterpretation of reality that you must make to do what? To secure peace. And the only reinterpretation that you need ever make. Notice as I go through the Course in Miracles that I'm not analyzing the Course in Miracles. Are you noticing that you're hearing what it's saying in a way that you've never heard it before? That's because we're doing A Course in Miracles the way that the Course in Miracles says it should be done. We're not doing the Course in Miracles the way that your ego or my ego says it needs to be done. I'm not doing it the way that we learn to do it in the world, which is to hear it and then all of us analyze it and give our opinion of it That's not what we do, because we really want to move fast. What we do is we go, okay, every time I listen to my ego, I'm going to be in conflict and I'm going to be angry. And that's going to keep me from having peace. I need to understand there is no opponent. There's nobody else making me mad but me. There's nobody upsetting me but me. There's nobody upsetting me but me, because I'm the one that's giving everything all the meaning that it has. And it's the meaning that I'm giving everything that's causing me to be in conflict. It is the meaning and the interpretation that I'm giving to everything that is upsetting me. It is not the thing itself that's upsetting me. It is not my mama that's upsetting me. It's my interpretation of my mama that's upsetting me. It's the meaning that I give my mama. That meaning is my opponent. That meaning is the opponent. There is no opponent. There is no opponent because nobody else can take my peace away. So therefore, there is no opponent. The only opponent, if there is an opponent, is the thoughts I have in my own mind and the meanings that I'm giving everything. That there is no opponent. This is the reinterpretation of reality that you must make to secure peace. And the only one, what did it say? And the only reinterpretation of reality you need ever make is that there is no opponent. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Those whom you, and this is really powerful, those who you perceive as opponents, do you know that they are part of your peace? Everybody that you see as your opponent is really someone who can give you peace. What? Everyone that I see as my opponent could be a part of my peace. I'm seeing you as my enemy, but really you could be my friend. You could be part of my peace. I could see you in a way that causes more peace. Everybody that you see as an opponent, according to this, that's a person that's part of your peace. Peace that you're giving up. How do you give up your peace? You give up your peace by attacking them. You give up your peace by attacking them. Whoever them are, you give up your peace whenever you attack them. Whoever them are, you are giving up your peace by seeing the people around you as your opponents. So a person that's always seeing everybody as out to get them, that really is a person that's never seeing people as being a part of their peace. If you don't think people are going to ever bring you peace, if you don't ever think that you're going to experience peace with people because you're judging people, then they can't be a part of your peace. How can I be a part of your peace when you're attacking me? How can I help you have peace when you are attacking me, judging me, not seeing me as loving and lovable and innocent? How can I be part of your peace when you're only looking at what makes you feel separate from me? And I'm giving up my peace by attacking you. So the Course in Miracles, how can you have, it says, how can you have what you give up? If I'm giving up my peace, if I'm giving my peace away, how can I have it? If you're giving your happiness away by getting upset, by seeing other people as your opponents, the Course in Miracles is saying to us, how can you have what you are giving up? You share something to have it. So what is the key to having something? You give it. You share it. So how do I have peace? I give peace. That's how I have peace. I have to be a means for peace to have peace. I have to be a means for happiness to have happiness. You have to what? Share to have. That's a law. But that law can appear to work against you if you are constantly sharing anger, sharing doubt, sharing upset, sharing fear, sharing lack thoughts. Then you're going to have them. You share to have. So you can either use that law of God on behalf of your ego by sharing a lot of anger, guilt, and grievances, and that's what you'll have. That's what it means by, misusing God's laws on behalf of an imaginary will. That's the ego. What is God's law? You share to have. How would a person misuse that law? By sharing anything other than love. If I share anger and guilt and grievances, then I'm going to have anger and guilt and grievances. That's a misuse of the law. To share is to have. If I'm going to use to share to have, you share to have. If I'm going to use that law correctly, then I'm going to share peace with you so I can have it. I'm going to share love with you so I can have it. I'm going to share freedom with you so that I can have it. The Course in Miracles says, you share to have. In paragraph 3, it says, you share to have, but you do not give it up yourself. I'm going to share peace with you, but I'm not going to give my peace up. I'm going to share love with you, but I'm not going to give my love. I'm going to keep loving me. I'm going to keep love, and I'm going to keep being lovable. But I'll share some love with you, but I'm not giving my peace away so that you can have peace. I'm not going to give my peace away and lose my peace so that you can have peace. I'm not going to sacrifice my peace so that you can have peace. The Course in Miracles says, you share to have, but you do not give it up yourself. So then it gives us an example. What is that example? In the next sentence. See how we're going through the Course in Miracles line by line, and see how rich and powerful the Course in Miracles is? We've only gone through 3 paragraphs, but I bet you heard it in a way you've never heard it before, just like I've heard it in a way I never heard it before. Why? Because the Course in Miracles says, do me slowly. It says it many times in the material. Read me slowly. Read this slowly, slowly. Repeat it, repeat it. Hear it, hear it. Hear what? When you give up peace, what does it mean to give up peace? It means you are excluding yourself from it. When I'm angry, I am excluding myself from happiness and peace. When you're afraid, you are excluding yourself from love. So when it says when you give up peace, it just means you are excluding yourself from it. You're not allowing yourself to have peace. When you're in conflict, you're not allowing yourself to have peace, because when you're in conflict, you don't feel good. So it's you that's being excluded from the peace and the happiness, and you being excluded from peace. It says, and you are excluding yourself from it. When you give up peace, you are excluding yourself from it. This is a condition so alien to the kingdom, so alien to love. What is a condition alien to the kingdom? What is a condition so alien to love? A condition that is so alien to love is a condition in which you are excluding yourself from it. If I am so into the idea that I have enemies, I have opponents, that I don't have any kind of peace. I'm full of conflict and anger, that I'm excluding myself from peace. Excluding myself from peace is a condition so alien to love that I don't even understand the state that prevails in love. See, when I'm upset and angry, I'm so far away from peace and love that I don't even understand the state of peace that prevails in love. I don't even understand what an unconditional, constant, indescribable peace and love feels like, because I'm excluding myself from the peace and the love. How am I excluding myself from the peace and love? I'm excluding myself from the peace and love by giving it up and getting upset and attacking you, because I see you as an opponent to my peace. And I need to have the realization that I don't have any enemies. I don't have any opponents. That's the only reinterpretation I need to make in order to have peace. And when I respond to my ego, when I'm responding to the wrong voice, I can tell, because it's a call to war. It's a call to conflict. It's a call to anger. And anger does deprive me of peace, but there's no opponent. I'm doing it to myself by the meanings that I'm giving to everything. That's why we must listen to these videos more than once, because what we're hearing is the answer. What we're hearing is the truth. Wow, take a breath, take a breath. I'm almost finished. I'm almost finished. Take a breath, take a breath. Now, this next sentence is too important for me this next paragraph is just too important. Paragraph 4, just hanging out with me a bit more. Hanging out with me a bit more, okay? Here we go. Paragraph 4 says, chapter 8, section 1, paragraph 4, the Course in Miracles, text, Foundation for Inner Peace says, and this is awesome, your past learning must have taught you the wrong things. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things, simply because it has not made you happy. Your past learnings must have taught you the wrong things because it didn't make you happy. What you learned in the past must not have been correct, because what you learned in the past did not make you happy. If you're not happy, your past learning must have taught you the wrong things. What you learned in the past taught you wrong things. Do you know that what you learned in the past taught you wrong things simply because it hasn't made you happy? That's just too simple. You mean if it hasn't made me happy, then there's something about this that I have not learned correctly. There's something that I did not learn correctly. If I'm unhappy, I have some incorrect learning. If I'm unhappy, I have some incorrect learning. My past learning taught me the wrong things. If I'm not happy in this relationship, my past learnings about relationships must have been wrong. If I don't have any prosperity and abundance in my perception, then what I've taught myself about prosperity and abundance must be wrong. If I don't love myself, what I taught myself about myself must be wrong. If I don't feel powerful, if I don't feel connected, if I don't feel innocent, then what I've taught myself, my past learning, must have taught me the wrong things. Why? Simply because it hasn't made you happy. If it hasn't made you happy, then what you've learned about it isn't true. That's a fact. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to see how that's true in every situation. We're just hearing the facts, ma'am. And the fact is, do you know that your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it hasn't made you happy? On this basis alone, what basis? That you're not happy, then the values that you learned from the past should be questioned. You should question everything that you value. You should question everything that you value if it has not made you happy. You should question everything that you believe if it's not making you happy. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it hasn't made you happy. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it hasn't made you happy. And on this basis alone, you should question it. Do you know that if learning aims at change, you're learning so that you can change for the better. You're learning so that you can change. If learning aims at change, and that is always learning's purpose. What is the purpose of learning? The purpose of learning is to change. You're learning so that you can change, so that you can move more and more and more toward peace, which is the prerequisite for knowing and the prerequisite for knowledge. So you're learning so that you can change. The Course in Miracles says if learning aims at change, and that is always its purpose, or you satisfied with the changes your learning has brought you? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with the changes that your learning has brought you? Are you happy with the changes that your learning has brought you? You've been learning. You've been learning since the day you were born. Are you happy with the results of your learning? Are you happy with the results of what you have learned? Are you happy with the results of what you have learned? Are you happy with your past learning and the results of your past learning? On this basis alone, its value should be questioned. If learning aims at change, and that's always the purpose of learning, is to change, are you satisfied with the changes your learning has brought you? Do you know that dissatisfaction with learning outcomes is a sign of learning failure? So what is learning failure? You're dissatisfied with your life. If you're dissatisfied with your relationship, for instance, it's just a sign of learning failure. That you've learned something about relationships that's not true. If you're in unhappy relationships all the time, what you've learned about relationships, what you've taught yourself about relationships from the past isn't true. If you're not happy, then you learned something that's not true. If you're not happy, you've learned something that isn't valuable. The Course in Miracles says dissatisfaction with learning outcomes. If I'm dissatisfied with the way things have turned out as a result of what I've learned, then that's a sign of what? Learning failure. And what does learning failure means? Learning failure means dissatisfaction with outcomes mean you didn't get what you wanted. So a learning failure means you didn't get what you wanted. I failed to learn if I didn't get what I wanted. If I wanted to learn how to drive, if I wanted to get my license, but I did not have a satisfactory outcome, I didn't get my license, then I had learning failure. And learning failure means I didn't get what I wanted. And in this particular section, what is it that we want? We want peace. We want total fulfillment, because we know now that in order to have knowledge, in order to have love, I need to have peace before I can have knowledge. I need to have peace before I can have knowledge. So remember, your past learning must have taught you the wrong things if it hasn't made you happy. On the basis that it hasn't made you happy, then whatever you've learned, you should be questioning. Learning aims at change. Are you satisfied with the results of your learning? Are you satisfied with the results of the changes you've been making? If you didn't get what you wanted, which is really peace, then you are experiencing learning failure. But remember, if you no longer want learning failure on the basis of loss of peace, then all learning failure, all hallucinations, all incorrect thinking can be removed from your mind for you. Your ego can be removed from your mind for you. Wow. So take a breath. And all of these comments, I'm really loving these comments and all of the communication that we're doing. And please share the videos. Share this video with others. We are mighty companions. Let's attract our tribe. So I'm going to do a quick recap. And I want to thank you for tuning into Hardcore Course in Miracles. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, which I would truly appreciate, go to my website. Go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com. Thank you, those of you who've been very generous with me and realizing that I need to also receive prosperity and abundance in the world for what I do in order to handle my responsibilities in the world, just like you do. So thank you for your generosity. I'm available for one-on-one sessions where I go deep with you and show you how to apply these principles to situations and circumstances in your life that's causing you a lot of conflict, that's keeping you from having peace. I can help you. I can help you. I can help you. I can help you. Holy Spirit, through me, can help you. It's called a clarity session. You can book it right online, self-book. Go to my website, earlpurdy, PURDY.com. There are hundreds of free videos of my classes and audios also going back over a decade. I make what I do available so that hopefully we can give ourselves that peace that gives us the knowledge. My next class is every Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, when I do the Course in Miracles live before an audience, a class with other people. Tuesdays, I do the Way of Mastery, another powerful metaphysical teaching at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And on Thursdays, we do Hardcore Course in Miracles at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Go to the Earl Purdy page on Facebook and like that page, and you'll be notified every time I'm broadcasting. And also, I have many, many videos on YouTube. So, here's the recap. And I want you to hear this. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things. Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it hasn't made you happy. If it hasn't made you happy, then you've learned wrong things according to A Course in Miracles. According to A Course in Miracles, if you are miserable, it means your past learning taught you wrong things. If you see yourself as in lack, if you see yourself as broke in any way, it means your past learning taught you the wrong things, taught you the wrong things, taught you the wrong things because it hasn't made you happy. If it hasn't made you happy, whatever it is, if it hasn't made you happy, its value should be questioned. If it hasn't made you happy, its value should be questioned. If it hasn't made you happy, its value should be questioned. If they haven't made you happy, their value should be questioned. If you're not generating happiness for each other in a relationship, its value should be questioned. If learning aims at change, what's the purpose of learning? What's the purpose of learning? The purpose of learning is to change toward peace, to change toward happiness, to change toward love. Are you satisfied with the changes your learning has brought you? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with the changes that your learning has brought you? If you're dissatisfied, then you have experienced learning failure. And what is learning failure? What is learning failure? Learning failure means that you did not get what you wanted. So remember, there is no opponent. There is no opponent. That is the one interpretation of reality that you need to make, which sounds like there is no one against you. There is no one against you. There is no opponent. I have no opponent. Tell yourself this. I have no opponent. I have no opponent. I have no opponent. There is no one against me. There is no one against me. There is no one against you. You have no opponent. There is no one against you. You have no opponent. There is no one against you. You have no opponent. There is no one against you. You have no opponent. If you don't want it on the basis of a loss of peace, your ego will be removed from your mind for you. Your fear can be removed from your mind for you. The ego can be removed from your mind for you. Your hallucinations can be removed from your mind for you. Be with that. Hear that. Hear that. Also, remember this. The ego has no power to distract you unless you give it the power to do so. I say no one has the power to distract you unless you give them unless you give them the power to distract you. No one has the power to distract you. The ego has no power to distract you. Stop giving so much power to the ego. Peace is the prerequisite for knowledge. Mighty companions, I love you. I appreciate you. Share this video and listen to it again. I love all the powerful comments. And again, I want you to have the best year ever. We're going to go so deep, 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 deep together. Oh, yeah. We're going to do it together. We're going to do this together. We're no longer going to have learning failure because you are going to get what you want. You are going to get what you want. You are going to get what you want. And learning failure is over. I love you. May the course be with you.